So we can see why God can be seen as, in some sense, the perfection of mother, the divine mother. And yet Jesus' story is heavenly dad. It's very male-orientated. And perhaps because the story was birthed in a male-orientated, dominated society. I'm not sure. I think, well, if we assume the historicity was of some value, I mean, the Hebrew wife was quite dominant in the home. And if we think of, I was going to say the modern world, but let's say at least the early 20th century, the male is much absent working, he goes off to work, comes back in the evening. I mean, he's part of the home, but he's a distant part. Except, of course, that in some sense he seems to have the authority and power. Although mum dominates the home, if his job, for instance, collapses, mum's ability to cope with the home, there's no money, there's no food, there's no house, there's no protection in resource terms. She seems to be dependent on him. Now that's a risk to the child's insecurity, except in as far as dad is faithful and true, continues to make the home feasible by providing income, which mum doesn't seem to principally do. She makes the home nice, but it seems to turn on the resources that come via dad. So it's in some sense the absent one, the God that I can't see. Do you see it's becoming that, isn't it? Is crucially important. I need to know he loves me and is going to be faithful and true, and that the, if you like, the finance, the income, the wherewithal to keep the family keeps coming. There's a logic in that, isn't there? Well, can I say God is divine dad and heavenly dad and divine mum? Yes, but kingdom divided in the mind is a problem, isn't it? And it is a problem. Am I mum's favourite or dad's favourite? And then, of course, we need to know that mum or dad, whichever it is, don't have favourites. They love all the children. And one's heart is settled, and gratitude starts to be able to flourish in this idealized view. Something like that. So, yes, I'm receiving the love and care from mum. Principally, I spend time with her far more than dad. But I know it turns on her relationship with dad. That's a priority, in some sense. Even though he's distant. He's the God I can't see, whereas mum I can see. So it's not, and the ideal is Heavenly Father. Ah, you mean even dad is dependent on God? A perfect God. Because dad clearly is not perfect. He seems to get angry with me at times, and this is dangerous. I conform, but it's not love. It's fear of, in some sense, losing the security of him. And, So I start to latch on to the hope that dad is in some sense deferring to God, someone who's even better than him at providing security and provision for all. He's the God of all. We see then how, at least the Christian religion, and in some measure, at the very least, others too, is built on this necessary structure for the selfish child's peace of mind, joy and hope. So he's imagining now a good God who makes Dad's position reliable and secure, which means Mum's position is, which crucially means my position is. Oh, and my sister who I play with. I mean, it's family, isn't it? Now, am I then saying if you destroy the family structure, society will collapse? Well, I don't know if there are other ways. We've traditionally just had this way, that family is the way. And when we say Jesus is the way, we're meaning that. His emphasis on Dad, a heavenly Dad, a Dad over and above our mum and dad, so to speak. Perfect, all-powerful. We need that for our safety and provision and security and happiness. Mum's care, in fact. Dad's ability to work and so on. An all-loving God. The need is there. The story is heard. We imagine into the goodness and the rightness of the story. We have ears to hear because of our familial family experience and selfish need, born of our uncertainty, which is of course the consequence of our being a child and having a very limited experience of the world and understanding and so forth. And the uncertainty turns into a blessing because it makes us want to reach out to the possibility of a wonderful God in this family type situation that we find ourselves in. And if we don't, well, simply physically alone, there's great problems. Who's going to provide for the child? Does the state? And which children? And, the state is not a person, is it? It's not. We've tried to create states that have paternal figures, monarchs that are supposedly to our great blessing and benefit. Possibly to their great self-interest. By the way they're living anyway. Our wealthy, powerful people, when I say monarch, I don't just mean kings of old, but I do mean them as well. But I mean the ones over us that seem to be living at a fabulous standard of living compared to the bulk of the population. So I reach out to wanting a God that is above and able to steer all this to my security and benefit and blessing. And such reaching out gives peace of mind and leads to transcendence. And you come to know God, someone wonderful beyond your comprehension. That is transcendence. Yeah.